Hi, we are previewing a new little series called Mystery Mystic Mondays, and I want you to stay tuned, watch the video, and then comment below, right? Comment about some of your thoughts, your theories, your own card draws if you read with the cards. And most importantly, I am looking for your input, your ideas on upcoming topics for me to explore with the cards. So bring it, bring it, bring it in the comment section below. I want to hear from you because it'll make it much more fun for me to dig into suggestions from the audience. All right, let's take a look at what's coming up in this first mystery. Hi everyone, I am Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and I am starting a series called Mystery Mystic Mondays. And I have been wanting to do this for a long time, and it's finally happening. I am going to be utilizing my intuitive gifts, my reading abilities with the cards, and tackling some mysteries. Maybe exploring disappearances, unsolved crimes, and things that are really perplexing us, the unknown things. I've been wanting to do this for a long time because I do this off camera. I always throw cards on things happening in the current events, world, but I don't usually talk about it on the channel. But I've been called to recently to change that, to start exploring some of the, especially like disappearances that I can't stop thinking about. I thought it would be a good idea to share what comes up for me when I think about these mysteries. The first mystery that we are going to be exploring is Cleo Smith. This story really pulled at my heartstrings, this situation, this disappearance of this child. Cleo Smith is a 4-year-old little girl out of Western Australia. You all may have known of this disappearance, you may not, but she was on a camping trip with her mom, and her mom is Ellie Smith, and then her mom Ellie is in a long-term relationship with a man named Jake, and Jake, Ellie, Isla, is it? I think it's Isla, like Island, Isla, her little 8-month-old sister, Ellie, the mom, Jake, the stepdad, and Cleo went to blow holes. It's like a campground near the ocean, near the Indian Ocean. And they went on a camping trip, and, you know, like families do, they unpack, they, get a late dinner because they had to set up the tent, and it's probably I think it was a Friday evening going into Saturday. So I'm a camper. I used to camp a lot with small children, so I just know and relate to that part. But there were just some things that struck me about the whole story, like, where did the little girl go? Like, if you Google the area where where she was last seen, which is these blowholes campgrounds, like which is near an ocean. Just the terrain there doesn't look kid friendly at all. But I camped in places that weren't always necessarily kid friendly, but it just, I don't know, when I Googled the area, thanks Google, and I like did the, not street view, but when you're actually, yeah, I guess street view, and you're looking around the terrain, it's like, whoa. Who would be out there other than the family and just people camping and sleeping in the night? So at 1:30, little Cleo wakes up in the morning, and she, like at 1:30 in the morning, and she wants water. So she asks her mom, Ellie, for some water because she's thirsty. She gets her water. Ellie gets her water and then puts little Cleo, or has Cleo go back to sleep, go back and, zip her up in her zippered sleeping bag. And then she goes and lays down next to Jake in this other part of the tent. So there's like a cloth divider, or like a material that divides the tent and makes it 2 rooms. So the little girls, the 8-month-old and the 4-year-old, are in one section, and then in the other section is Ellie and Jake. They're sleeping, and the tent is zipped up. And then at 6 in the morning, when Isla, I think it's Isla, cries for her bottle, that's when Ellie discovers that Cleo is gone. She was getting ready to feed, bottle feed her baby, and she realizes that her 4-year-old is nowhere to be found. And it's like a parent's worst nightmare, It's like, what happened? It's such an incredible and scary just thing to imagine. And so to this date, Cleo is still missing. And so I was just like blown away, like with just pain, for Cleo herself, her little self, and then also for the family. And it's just really unsettling. So I want to explore the situation, and I am the type of person that likes to do things very objectively. I used to be an arbitrator, and I would hear cases, and it was something that you pride yourself on, is to, come with an open mind. Okay, come with the open mind. I know I was very careful with this case not to listen and pay attention to what other mediums or tarot readers or psychics are saying about the situation, because I wanted to form my own intuitive opinion based on what's coming up in the cards. So I have not looked at what other mediums are saying, and I know some people always suspect parents and children's disappearances. I, again, am just going to suspend my judgment and be objective and really just sink into what is my intuition coming up and saying about this situation. All right. We're going to switch angles, so now I can dig into these cards. I have made notes about, like, details about the time, Ellie's mom's name, Jake, her biological dad's name, Isla, and then some questions that I have for the cards. And so we'll see what the messages have to say. So that's a little background. I'll kind of show some pictures just before we get started of little Cleo, and then also of what may have, we'll talk about probably different theories as I'm pulling the cards. I don't want this to go on much longer. So, all right, let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, let's get started. What happened to Cleo, Spirit? What happened to Cleo on the night? Oh my goodness. Let me zoom in. I don't know if you guys can see this. All right, so moth, girl, factory, stick. And this is to the question of what happened to Cleo. The short and sweet part is there's a transformation here, and this card literally symbolizes moving from one state of being to another, a transition, crossing over. This is girl. This is literally representing our Cleo, right? It represents an innocent person. But it literally means girl when we're relating it to Cleo. And then we have factory, right? So factory, when I first see factory, I see, and then stick, there's something terrible has happened, okay? The stick with the factory is about being industrious, doing something, manufacturing something, moving something. And stick is about abuse of power, about abusing one's power, being abusive, being volatile, using a stick. Yeah, it's not feeling good as I'm looking here. Okay, so moth, girl, factory, and stick. There's definitely something amiss here. The girl card is symbolizing Cleo in this whole scenario. The factory card could literally mean she was in a place, like a sheltered place, like a tent. And the stick, abuse of power, someone asserting their power, someone actually using physical exertion to get their way, literally, removing her. This also could represent where she either was taken to, some kind of industrial area, maybe on the outskirts of the nearest town. It could represent... I don't know. For some reason, I just sense like this is speaking to what happened to her and kind of when the last time something majorly happened. And it was during that time period of between, 1:30 and 6 o'clock, clearly. So that's what this is saying here, is that she's made some sort of transition. She went from one state to another, one state of being to another state of being. This occurred in a place that was a form of shelter, a place that was where things, happen, things move. She was moved. Someone exerted their ability to move her. Industrious with a factory card, stick card, abusing one's power, exerting power onto the powerless, onto the innocent. All right, so now we're going to look to who's responsible and motive. Shrine. Pregnancy and fertility. Ritual. Okay. And I'll see if anything comes up for the tarot. Nothing's coming up here. Shrine, pregnancy, and ritual. This is someone who should have put her on a pedestal, who should revere her. Pregnancy and fertility, I'm getting a sense of a female I'm getting a sense it could be her mother. Don't want to believe that, and I don't want to think that. But the pregnancy and fertility card, Ace of Cups, you know, now, could this be someone who took the opportunity to kidnap a small child because they couldn't have one? Yeah, but why didn't they take the more helpless of the two, the 8-month-old? Usually I would think if it was someone who was trying to steal a small child for the sake of having a child to kidnap and to raise as their own, that would be, you would probably get an infant. But then again, an infant would make a lot of noise. So perhaps, she's definitely abducted. She's definitely moved outside of her comfort zone, this little girl. She's moved outside of it, outside of her sense of security. Pregnancy and fertility, I'm getting a strong sense of a maternal figure. Why, when we're looking at motive, new beginnings in love, in life, and maybe there were challenges that come with it, a misunderstanding of how things should unfold in life, in her life. Queen of Cups. A new beginning with a quiet type, a quiet, what do they call it? Quiet, strong, silent type. Let me zoom out. I don't know, guys. I'm sensing it's someone of a female who is definitely culpable or involved. Dry spell. Temple. Like they have a belief that what they did was right and what needed to happen. Okay. This needed to happen for the sake of the future, the sake of the growth of a family of love. Beach. Anchored. Let me zoom out so you can see. Okay. What's interesting to me about this spread here is that we have beach. They were near a beach. Anchored. Wow. This is I'm getting a certain feel like she could be in the ocean. Like her little self could be in the ocean. The motive is definitely family related. Perceiving that this is what should be done. Pregnancy, fertility, when we ask who could do this, this is someone who is female, a supposed nurturer. Now, dry spell is interesting. Could this dry spell represent a dry spell in the relationship? Could it represent a dry spell for if this, let's just say this was a stranger abduction, like not someone close, that this person does not have the ability, maybe they're barren, they don't have the ability to have children of their own, so they use this opportunity to take the child. They've, been putting this child on a pedestal, a shrine, if you will. This was, but with ritual, next to pregnancy, ritual feels very much like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I need to be doing. This is the next step to get what it is that I want. And what I want is, a life of ease, a life without the complications of a very needy or clingy child. I don't know. I don't know. And it's like, where should people look? I'm looking at this card here. It's like she wasn't taken terribly, terribly far from where they were camping. If at all, if they were taken very far, if she was taken very far, I should say, it would be not like, it would be in close proximity, like the next nearest major town's industrial area. But I don't know, guys. I don't know. I want to look at the energies surrounding each of the adults in her life, and maybe either, analyze it, rule them in, or rule them out as potential folks who could be responsible for this disappearance. What are the energies surrounding Ellie Smith, the mom? What are the energies surrounding Page of Cups? Okay, so this is Ellie. What are the energies surrounding Jake? Jake is her long-term boyfriend or husband or stepfather, Ace of Wands. Okay, what about the biological dad? 2 cards jumped. The Devil and the World. Okay. 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 And what's next for the investigation? 9 of Pentacles. Pull an oracle for that. So that's what I'm saying. The Page of Cups here is interesting to me about the mom. The mom being like she's at the start of her creating of her family. Now, when I look at the pictures of her and her daughter Cleo, she looks very much like a doting mom. But sometimes I'm picking up on something else. I'm picking up on a vibe that it's almost like this child is an inconvenience. It's almost like this child it's like this child does not fit, this child being Cleo. I sense that there is, when I ask the question of who's responsible and the motive, and then the cards that come out is pregnancy and fertility, and then Ace of Cups, Queen of Cups, and then King of Swords, I find that interesting. In terms of energies surrounding Ace of Wands, there's flashes of a temper that I'm sensing and picking up on Jake. Flashes of temper, of a lack of maturity in being able to deal with this 4-year-old child. Some people say the terrible twos. Others know, like if you've had multiple children, it could be terrible 3s, it could be terrible 4s. Kids sometimes can be very taxing, especially if they're not your child. And so what would be interesting to know is the family dynamics leading up to this trip, this fated trip, okay? Because and then also that offers clues in, is there really someone who was stalking this family? Because really, I would sense that that's what it would take for this kind of, if we're talking in a stranger abduction, they're going out to this remote area, and I encourage you guys to Google it and look at it and do the street view thing, because you're going to be like, wow, this is quite remote. And if you ever camp, I know for me, I never slept soundly because I was constantly hearing noises. If I heard a kid unzip their sleeping bag or the tent, I'm up with them. I'm like, what's going on? Where are you going? What's happening? So I find it hard to believe that only this one child is affected. Some people were saying the blowholes that the natural phenomenon that happens there could come and actually, sweep away a child. But why was it just that one child and not the baby? That doesn't seem like a plausible thing. I mean, there's been all sorts of wild theories, and I don't want to go off into tangents. I wanted to look at the energy surrounding the family dynamics surrounding her, what happened, what overall is going on here. And I don't know, it's not feeling good. The dad, the biological dad, at first I was like, ooh, the devil, and then the world. I sensed that he got his own troubles, his own thing going on in his life, and he was 1,000 kilometers away. So I think that for him, I don't think that he's involved, especially with the world card. Like, it just seems like he's not involved. He's got his own issues with this devil card going on. He's got his own issues. Like, I don't get a sense that he is in any way tied to the disappearance of Cleo. But in terms of what may have happened, it feels very much within the family dynamic of the mom, particularly. Some people were finding it interesting that only the mom was talking, but then I reasoned within myself that she's the biological mother of Cleo. So she may feel, and Jake may feel like it's most appropriate for her to do all the speaking, but some people were taking issue with that. I didn't feel neither here nor there about that. But what I'm sensing here with the messages coming through is that something happened, a feeling of this is what needed to happen with this ritual card. This is, someone close to Cleo, someone who, knows Cleo. And this doesn't fit. Cleo doesn't it looks like from the outside to us that Cleo fits in perfectly with their family. But I'm sensing that there was something that felt like it wasn't. Now, the only other thing with this dry spell card, and this almost looks like the terrain of where they were camping at, but the only other thing I will say is that it could be someone who had an unhealthy, mental state. They are stalking them because they want to take this child, exert their power, with this Nine of Pentacles here, right? What's next for the investigation? It could be someone who is a stranger, but I sense that if it's a stranger, it's someone who's not really trying to kill this child. This is someone who's trying to take this child for their own. But I don't know. That doesn't feel what rings more true, and I guess it's hard for me to even say it and put it out into the ethers, is that this feels very much like a familial situation that happened at the beach. Temple is interesting, along with the shrine card. Some people were speculating that she didn't even make it to the campsite, but this is telling me she did. This anchored and beach card and dry spell card. She made it there. I don't know. What's next with the investigation? Nine of Pentacles, Asia. I don't know. I'm getting a sense that it's like they're going to be gathering more and more and looking more at the family connection with the Nine of Pentacles. With the Gatherer in Asia card, this is more about, I have to remember that I think what this card is reminding me is that there's cultural differences. One thing in America is that we instantly jump to the parents did it. The parents had to be the ones responsible. Whereas in other cultures, that's not always the case. And so I've been learning that about certain cases that happen worldwide, is that people don't just automatically make that assumption or jump to those conclusions. So this autumn, this fall, I think I'm in the northern hemisphere, so it's autumn now. But I sense that this is going to be a long-standing investigation. It's not going to move quickly, but they're going to be gathering evidence. They're going to be unearthing something. And it's going to be happening in the autumn. Now, it could be in the southern hemisphere's autumn, or it could be in my autumn, which is happening now. But there's going to be some unearthing happening, unbeknownst to what we can see. We may see on the out picturing that law enforcement is, taking a very careful approach to how they do their investigation and gather information, and making sure that they don't go accusing people, including the parents. But meanwhile, they're gathering some evidence. And, at first I think we are all fearing that this is going to be a case that goes cold. It will appear that way for a good long while with that Nine of Pentacles, but it will bear fruit. We will get answers probably towards the end of the season of autumn. Now, like I said, it could be my autumn, which would be the end of, that would be December-ish, right? December is when it goes to winter. Or it could be in the southern hemisphere where this happened. It could be at the end of autumn that we really hear and unearth something that brings us closer to what happened. But something definitely happened. We see that with the moth card, with the girl in the factory and the stick. Not feeling great about the pregnancy and fertility card, and with the Queen of Cups, Ace of Cups, between the King of Swords. I don't know, a dry spell of a challenge too in their relationship, and a misunderstanding about, Cleo's, impact on their little family unit and the challenges. I don't know what's going on. That's why I really say it's important to see what the family dynamics were, because yes, the biological father was distant, yes, but was he causing trouble? Was he starting to, cause trouble for the family in the sense of custodial issues, or was there, because Cleo's still young, right? She's young, and, who knows what that is going on there. So I think that's why the searches have been happening a lot at the family house. Yes, they're trying to rule out if there's some third party who have been following and stalking them. True, but there's also some stuff that they are looking at the house that may be able to offer them some clues. I'm sure they're pulling phone records. I'm sure they're looking at bank records. I'm sure they're looking at all these different things, the authorities, to see what's going on in the background of the parents. It's just a really unusual situation, right? I mean, it just really is. And I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts about this case? What do you think about the cards that jumped? Have you pulled cards for this situation? I'll take a little picture of the spread so you all can see it. And, this is going to be interesting. And we can delve some more as things come up with this case. We can delve some more and see if we want to pull additional cards. But yeah, I don't know. The Page of Cups, her mom, always in a state of new beginnings. And that could be also a stressor for her. I don't know. We may even find out that she may have fallen pregnant, and I don't know. There's something going on with mom. There's something going on with her in the family dynamic. Someone who should be protecting this little girl, and instead it was not a protection here at all. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Take good care, and I'll see you all around. Ciao for now.